Hi guys, it's Kelly and I am back with another video. Oh, another STAMPtember release, and this one I just I love the flowers. I totally love the flowers. So this is Simon Says Stamp and Pretty Pink Posh, and they have released a Pansies set, which I am totally in love with. So yeah, anyway, I showed you I think it's the Autumn Blessings set. I didn't end up using that sentiment. I actually ended up using a sentiment from Cuddly Cats, which I did link. But yeah, so I thought it was going to be all autumn, and then I decided that I wanted to use my Zig Clean Color Markers. So it's been a long time since I've used them. Here, I have all of the stamps I'm going to be using on a huge acrylic block, which I pretty much only ever use for like a mixing palette. I hardly ever stamp with that thing. But anywho, and I have some Canson watercolor paper that is taped down to my board here, and I'm using Intense Black ink from Simon Says Stamp. I'm just going to stamp the flowers as if they were kind of like hanging down. Anywho, so you guys know, if you follow my channel, that I usually, before I stamp or color anything, I go Googling. I go Googling for a lot of things. I can't help myself. I need to know the answers to things. So I went Googling of the pansies, and when I think of a pansy, I think of like the very traditional like purple and yellow version. Apparently they come in just all kinds of colors. I didn't realize that. And so when I was putting this together, I decided that I was going to go for the like magenta, blue, violet, purple combination, because I thought they would work really well together. And in order to kind of get that done, I decided to use the Zig Clean Color Markers. First of all, it's been forever since I've used them. And I do try to mix up my mediums a little bit. Keeps things interesting, right? So in this stamp set, you guys know we've been doing this all month long. You know how STAMPtember works. They won't reproduce them. So if you want it, go get it. I have seen so many posts on Facebook where people were really disappointed because they had waited and then the set that they wanted sold out. So don't be one of those people. Like, go get the things that you want. You have to move quick. Anyway, I just really loved these, and I love that there's so many options in the set, and they have like the little bundle of them. So there's like 3 pansies, and that makes it really easy to do something like this where you're covering a large surface area. And then they have, I think, 3 different regular set, like full pansies, and then the 2 buds that you see that on the bottom right hand corner. So the way that I like to do the Zig Clean Color Markers is I just take my pen directly to my paper and I scribble. You can see I'm not trying to be fancy. We're not bougie here. We're just, putting some color on. I did put down 2 colors on each one. So for like the purple, I used a dark purple and a lighter purple. That lighter purple is pretty much pointless, guys, FYI. I used an orange with the pink, and then I used the purple with the blue because, like I said, I wanted that blue violet. Put some green down onto my leaves, and then I added a little bit of yellow into that just to make it a little bit brighter. And then Zig Clean Color Markers love to run. They love to run. They're like, milers. They love to do the running. So I'm setting down a barrier of clean water. I'm using a number 8 round brush from the Silver Brush Company, FYI. But I set down a barrier of where I wanted the color to stop at, because I know that these pigments really like to move. And then I find that I have the best luck with something like this if I do all of one color at a time. So I started with the green, and then from the green, I rinsed off my brush, because your brush will pick up pigment. That's just one of the things with these. Your brush will pick up pigment, and you will drag it everywhere if you aren't consistently rinsing in between colors. So from the green, I went to the blue, because I knew that they would make nice friends together. And then I find myself feeling like I need to go over or work out the lines that are down there. And especially like with the purple, because it was so dark. But the reality of the situation is you really don't need to do that. The water will do its thing and it'll break up that line on its own. So don't try to leave it if you can, because you can over manipulate watercolors pretty easily, and then we all kind of end up with results that we don't love because it doesn't look like genuine watercoloring because we couldn't have any self-control to stop ourselves. So after the purple, I did the pink. Pink one was the last one that I did. I was a little bit concerned that I was going to get some muddy colors with the pink and the green, but not anything I was overly concerned about. Now, with pansies, most of the time the center is yellow, and I was a little bit concerned about how I was going to make that happen without it just running everywhere and creating like green in my pansies. How I got around that was I left the centers dry. I left the centers dry so I could go in with my marker. If you wet the centers, Zig Clean Color Markers don't tend to do well with wet on wet. So if your paper's wet and you try to take your marker to the wet area, it usually ends up just sucking up water instead of putting it down. So that's why I left the areas inside the pansies dry so I could put down the yellow, and they blended pretty nicely. So this is after one layer. I really like bold color. That's just my style. There's nothing wrong with this. It's pretty just the way it is. But because I like bolder color, I'm going to do a second layer. And I'm going to do it the same way with the scribblies, nothing fancy. And then go back in with the water and just kind of go over all of everything. This time I did leave out the secondary colors as far as like the orange or the lighter violet color. I just didn't think that it really added anything to it. The orange, you can really only see it in the bottom left-hand corner, that flower anyway. And then I also did not put down a line of water because I'm not trying to build up the background necessarily. I'm trying to build up the intensity on the things that I've actually stamped. So, but I am doing the same type of process as far as, you know, starting with one color, moving to the next. I'm not painting inside the lines by any means, and I'm still letting the colors mix together wherever it's wet. But yeah, so this is like such a quick and easy background if you just let yourself go with it. Just let it go and be chill and just let it do whatever it wants to do. I think a lot of times with watercolor, and I'm guilty of it myself, like we get so controlling over what's happening that we don't let it just be pretty on its own. So once that's done, I'm going to go back in with that same yellow marker and do the same thing that I was doing before. So again, I just left those centers dry, and then I'm going to go back in with that yellow marker. It will pick up some of the pigment. You can see me kind of scribbling it off on the side. You're going to want to do that, or like I said, you'll carry that pigment. Speaking of how I never use this large acrylic block for anything, I decided to use it for a palette for this one. And I find that when I want to add extra color, whether that be shading or spatters like I'm doing here, I have better luck if I just scribble it on a block and then pick it up with my paintbrush. Trying to take the marker directly to wet paper is like a no-go. After I'm done with this, I am going to get out some Perfect Pearls. And the thing with Perfect Pearls is the way I usually use them is just very clean spatters. But if you put Perfect Pearls into a wet background, it will spread out and become like this super pretty shimmer in the background. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm not putting a lot in, just a little bit. And not all the areas are wet, so it's not going to spread out everywhere. And then I'm going to hit that with my heat tool. Now that this is all dry, I'm going to go back in and do the spatters the way I usually do, which is just, you know, regular rounded dots where it's not going to be spread out. I trim this down, and then I'm going to do some shading with some Copics. I'm not doing a ton of shading, not like crazy amounts, but I wanted to add in a shadow. And so I did that. I did it as if the light source was in the top right-hand corner. So I'm adding the shadow to the bottom left. I almost feel like the C7 was too dark. I was thinking C7 because of how dark like the blues and the purples were in this. But in hindsight, I feel like it was almost maybe a little bit too much. Maybe I should have just went with the C5, but decisions were made and it is what it is. So while we're Copic coloring, it's morning. it's morning here. And so since the split and the move, the new schedule that we have is, like when I work, afternoon shift, then my ex-husband brings, Peanut to me in the morning, and it's like 6:30 in the morning. And last night I fell asleep. Well, I basically passed out, not from alcohol, from exhaustion. And I forgot to set an alarm to wake me up. So woke up to like the pounding on the door. That was totally my fault. But anyway, it was just one of those mornings, and surely I cannot be the only mom who has ever had one of these mornings where like I could have fell asleep just standing in my kitchen. Like just standing there making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch. I could have just completely just slept on my feet. I could have. Usually I know, and I do appreciate it. You guys are so wonderful. You talk to me about, tell me, to get some sleep and take care of myself and all of those things. And normally my sleeping situation, while it is kind of broken, I usually do get a decent amount of sleep. I don't know what's going on like the past week or so. I haven't really been getting a ton of sleep. And even when I do get sleep, I'm still tired after the fact. So I don't know. Apparently my nap lifestyle is catching up to me. I'm not really sure. But like I said, surely I can't be the only mama that has ever happened to. I remember when he was an infant, and I spent like the first 6 months of his life on the couch with him, honestly. Everybody does things differently, but for like the first couple of weeks he had a milk allergy, and my poor little Peanut was just miserable, so miserable. And so he wouldn't sleep unless you held him. So, and then I was like uber paranoid about like rolling over on top of him or any of those things. So I would prop myself up in the corner, and sleep like with my head back on the couch, holding him, until it was time for feeding, diaper change, blah, 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 blah. You get the point. And then I had after I had him, I had a very rough delivery. And so I was pretty exhausted, just physically exhausted after we came home. And he, just needed to be rocked and held all the time. So I got to the point where I would put my, feet up on my coffee table, and I would lay him in my lap, and then I would rock my legs back and forth. So, cause then his weight wasn't in my arms. And we slept like that more than one time, like with him just laying in my like lap area, and, me with my head back on the couch. Like, motherhood really is, it's very glamorous. I don't understand why there's people out there who don't want to do that. No, I'm kidding. It's, just a very tired day today. I got my man voice on. I'm very sleepy. But anyway, I stamped this sentiment, and I actually said it out loud. I'm going to stamp this in white on here, and then I'm not going to like it. Sure enough, you guys see it on there? Yeah. I heat embossed it right on the background, and I didn't like it. And then I did it again on black because I liked that much better. The way that the sentiment is shaped is that the F for favorite comes down, and then there was quite a bit of black left underneath it. So I actually hand trimmed that so that it would be a little bit closer. Then I added a couple of sequins, and then I called it. So I really love these pansies. I think they're super pretty, and the free-flowing watercolor background is a lot of fun. So make sure you head over to the Simon store to get them. I guarantee you this one will sell out fast. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I will catch you on the next video. Bye.